Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Simon. This is the new love story. She stole my heart. So many of you asked after the last love story with Leon, half of you wanted a happy ending and half of you wanted a nasty girl. Well, I'm not going to tell you which one this is. You can work it out for yourselves, but it's one of those. This story, the main character, we're calling him John, and the girl is going to be called Jum and John. John is from Australia. He is 65 years old at the start of this love story. Now, John has had a printing company in Australia. It's only a small one. He's based in Sydney, and he had a beautiful wife and a son. Australian wife. Sadly, she passed away, and they had a family home. At the back of the family home, on a separate piece of land, was their printing business, and it was quite a successful business. He'd worked all his life in this industry, but sadly his wife passed away. His son must have been about 25 when John lost his wife, and John brought his son into the printing business. So they worked together, son and father. It was quite successful, as I said, and John had a reasonable house, and all houses in Sydney are expensive, but a reasonable house, had his little bit of land at the back with his building on for his printing company, and had managed to help his son get his own house and mortgage free at a young age, so that it wasn't a bad printing business. The son married, but over the years it broke up. He never had any kids and ended up divorced. John was, at that age, 65 years old, and a couple of his best friends had moved to Thailand. The two friends, one had got divorced from his Australian lady, and one had also lost his wife. Been in Thailand a few years. One was living in the dark side of Pattaya, and one was living in Hua Hin. John kept in touch with these two all the time, but after his wife passed away, things were never the same for him. He just threw himself into his business, worked hard. His son worked hard, and they got on great. Had a really good income coming in. John had the opportunity at this time to buy another house than just a friend. Someone had passed away. It was offered him at the right price. He had spare cash, and he bought it, turned it into a rental. It was at like a 3-floor, I believe, 3 or 4 floors. So again in Sydney, and he bought that outright, converted it to rental, and his son was looking after it for him, running it. So that was fantastic. His life was good. It was good. He didn't have huge savings. He just invested in that house. He had a little bit, and he was a honest, straight, nice guy. No plans after his wife had passed away to ever remarry again. No plans really to travel. But as he got to this age of 65, and he'd had this new house maybe for 10 years by then. His son was about 35, still not hooked up with a woman. The business was going okay, but he approached the 65, and his friends in Thailand kept on nagging him and telling him, look, come on, you're ready for retirement, come and see what wonderful Thailand's all about. And he did. He said okay. And over his 65th year, he came to Thailand twice. He went and stayed with the one friend in Pattaya, and then Later in the year, he went back over again and stayed with his friend in Hua Hin. He didn't want to be away from his son or his business for too long, so it was only a few weeks at a time. And he was introduced to Thailand, to what Thailand is for so many people. A fresh start, somewhere to retire in the sun, where your money used to go a lot further, maybe not so much now. And he enjoyed himself. He never got involved with any ladies, but he saw what was happening, and his friends, both of them on both trips, they scholared him and explained the situation, what is the do's and the don'ts, and how this happens and how that happens. And they took him out, both in Hua Hin and Pattaya, around the entertainment areas. But John wasn't really looking for a woman. He wasn't really interested. His mind was always back on his son and the business. But his second trip, which was Hua Hin, the one friend in Pattaya was well off, had quite a bit of money. His friend in Hua Hin he'd been a little bit premature moving to Thailand. He hadn't set himself up properly with enough money. He was renting in Hua Hin a villa, and he had found himself a Thai girlfriend. He was struggling a bit. He was on an Australian pension, and I don't think it was huge money, but he was surviving, and he'd only been there a few years. And he was similar age, sort of 65-ish. And John saw this, and John commented to him about it all, about, are you going to be able to survive your whole life if you're on this sort of money? And his friend was, I wish I can, I hope I can, I want to. Anyway, John returned home, and 66th birthday, 2 days after his 66th birthday, his son, 35, 36, was out doing a delivery, and a car accident happened right in front of John's son. I don't know where it was, but it was a bad accident, and John's son was right behind it, managed to stop, but the one car had a lady and children in her car, and she was trapped, and the car caught fire. John's son leapt to the rescue, shot across, and a couple of other people. The car exploded. John's son, the people in the accident, all lost their lives. Horrific thing to happen. And John was devastated. He's lost his wife, and now the worst thing a father could ever do on this planet is lose one of your children. It took him a year to come out of mourning, out of the hurt, the feelings. His life had just ended in his eyes. His two friends reached out all the time to him, and even the one in Pattaya came over to help him a bit in the beginning, went back, but then his other friend, who had not much money, came over towards the end of that first year and helped him get the business ticking over again, take care of the rental property, empty his son's house. And at this point, something clicked with John, and John's like, I've lost everything, I've had enough of Australia. It's been good to me, and it's been terrible to him. And his friend, the Hua Hin guy, with no money, said, why don't you sell up? Sell everything, put it in the bank, move to Thailand. stay either Pattaya, Hua Hin, near me, near our other friend, wherever you want. Just retire. And John decided, yes, he's got nothing else. His life's over. He thought, now every day he's alive is another day that he's going to have to mourn his loved ones. And he was so low. His friend, again, as I keep saying, with no money, stayed with him. They cleared the son's house. They sold the house. They cleared the rental property. They sold the rental property. And then even found a buyer and a reasonable price for the printing company. He sold. And John's house, which was the hardest thing for him to sell because his wife was there in that house, they cleared it and sold it. He obviously wasn't in the huge, the really expensive part of Sydney, but at this point, now it's hard doing the videos to say which currency, but John had 15 million pounds, 17, 18 million American dollars. I'm not sure in Australian dollars, but 15 million pounds, which is huge money, absolutely huge money. If you haven't got money, it's huge money. He got on a plane with his friend, arrived in Thailand. His friend sorted out all his visa. He got a retirement visa from Australia. I think it was an OA or whatever. But anyway, he got his visa, got him health insurance from Australia, got everything sorted. And John arrived in Thailand. At first, he went straight to Hua Hin, and he stayed at his friend's place in Hua Hin. His other friend from Pattaya came round, and it was tough. For the first couple of months, John didn't want to go out, he didn't want to do anything, but his friends, great friends, stood by him, helped him, got him out and about. This was all totally alien to him. He hadn't planned to come to Thailand. He hadn't thought about it much. He'd just come. He had sold everything in his motherland in Australia. He sold everything. He's got no connection now, no family, nothing in Australia. That sort of hit home, and that was what was hurting him for the first couple of months staying in Thailand, that he'd done that and got rid of it all. And he probably regretted it for 1 week, one day, and then the next day didn't. But he was reasonably fit. His friends started getting him exercising, walking down the beach and things. And then after a couple of months, his friend in Hawaii said, look, go and stay with our other friend in Pattaya. Get about a bit. And John did. One of the things John, which I think was absolutely amazing, even through everything he was going through in his life and in his mind, he recognised his two friends, and it's because of them that they were helping him get over such a tragedy. John turned around to his friend in Hua Hin, knowing that he had no money, little money, and his friend in Pattaya. He spoke to his friend in Pattaya, who I already said he had money. And he said to his friend in Pattaya, would you like some money for all the help you've done? Would you like, and I'm going to help whatever the guy's name was in Hua Hin to change his life. I've got money I don't need. And the guy in Pattaya said, I don't need it. I've got enough. I've plenty. But yes, great idea, help the other guy. So John, and I was surprised. I thought he'd give him a few 100,000 baht, or maybe 30,000-40,000 pounds to help him out. He gave him around £1 million, whatever it was in Australian and Thai baht. He put £1 million into his friend's bank account. It was super generous. And his friend in Hua Hin could not believe what John's done. He was in tears. He was like, absolutely, I don't know. he was just amazed. And what a lovely thing John did for his friend. And he offered his friend in Pattaya the same, and he said no, he didn't want it. So John's in Pattaya. He's had a couple of months in Hawaii. He's now in Pattaya with his friend for a couple of months, and trying to get his head straight. And that really is the start of this story. As always, the background of John. 65 years old, weighs about 67 at this point, must be 67. Retired to Thailand. Not really thinking about it that he's moved there for good, but 67, retired to Thailand. Has money, which is a good thing, but has no idea on what he's going to do, where he's going to live. Is he going to stay single? Would he consider having more kids? Is this a new chapter in his life? I'll see you on episode 2. Have a great day. Ta-da.